The next topic is network. So what is a network? It's links that connect different points called nodes in some geographic or economic space. So network doesn't have to be a physical one. It could be, as you know, networks of people or electronically connected people. They could be one-way networks where there is a provider that everyone must go through. The good example there is the utility that provides water to your homes and apartments. That's a one-way node. There are nodes all over to have water reach your home. And there's two-way networks where there's flow back and forth. Perfect example of that is a telephone network where people can call and receive calls. So there are two descriptions of how the flow works in networks. This is a two-way star network where you have a hub created, but every single participant in this network can go back and forth across the network, utilizing hub for the connection. For example, C1, customer 1, can connect with any of the other customers through the hub. So this is an example of a two-way star network. So there are direct externalities when we have a two-way network. And this allows us to grow and sustain the dominance of a network once it's established. If you only had one person, they're talking to themselves. If you have two persons, at least they're talking to each other. If you have 10 people, now you've created a more robust network. And in time, you're going to have such a robust network of individual choices that'd be pretty difficult to supplant you as the network provider. And that's the theory, and the objective is to grow these networks quickly to not only earn money, but to preempt the next entry. And there is a mathematical function to look at the number of connections possible. If the number is n of the users, then n times n minus 1 equals the number of connections in that overall network. One new user joins the network, all the users benefit. So that's why it's such a multiplied effect, such that each new user adds 2n times the potential new services to the network. So that's just within the network itself and the service provided in that network. There are also some products that fall from the network because of that connection. So these are called indirect network externalities. And this is indirect value that you receive as a user, because all the complementaries that occur with the size and other products that would come taking advantage of that network, such as the internet. So the negative network externality is where there is some decrease in experience or value because of things like congestion and bottlenecks. It'd be great to have a telephone system that connects everyone, but if the lines are always busy, that's not a very valuable network. There was a time, I remember when I was young, where you call someone and you get a busy signal because you've clogged the telephone network. That, of course, doesn't happen anymore, but that can occur in the internet network during COVID. Now, it probably happened in some communities. It didn't happen much in my area, but from watching what happened in some of our student experiences, we've seen that some areas geographically, based on network capacity or just the infrastructure in apartment buildings, we saw some degradation. And that would be a negative network externality, where the increased volume causes a diminishment of the value from the network. The first mover is a big advantage because of lock-in, because now we've created a network and it's going to be pretty hard to supplant us. So we can have ability to take advantage of our installed base. We could add complementary services, and we can also lock them in because they're stuck, because if they want to move, they would be leaving a working network to go to a less robust network. So this is something a first mover needs to preserve, so it becomes a barrier to exit for their users. The one way to do it, perhaps, doesn't always work, is the new entrant could try to react to this power. So consumer lock-in is from the existing network by creating that barrier. But what if the next entrant uses a strategy to penetrate with an aggressive pricing scheme, so that they penetrate just to create some critical mass and adoption and make it a viable choice? So in that case, if they have a strong offering, they can buy some market share essentially to kickstart their entry into the network, and therefore create a condition where they either share or could in time maybe even preempt the existing network if they have a superior solution or a lower cost solution. So summarizing chapter 13, we looked at limit pricing and how a monopoly can look at taking the risk of staying a monopoly, moving to limit pricing to preempt entry, or holding a monopoly price knowing that entry may happen and therefore they end up with a less favorable duopoly. Then we looked at the idea of predatory pricing, where you're pricing below your marginal cost, how that is a dangerous strategy and what competitors may do. And furthermore, it's illegal, by the way. Third is, can a manager lessen competition by raising their costs? Those could be the marginal costs, the variable costs, or if they have some vertical integration, employ different strategies to take advantage of them supplying their competitors. Fourth is looking at the legal ramifications that what may occur if you lessen competition, namely antitrust. Fifth, how a firm can enhance the profits by changing the timing of decisions in order to change a game from a one-shot game to a sequential game, and therefore they preempt some of the moves that the other player may make. Six is look at networks and externalities and look at how the number of networks explode with the success of a star network. And finally, look at how networks create first mover advantage, but it doesn't mean it's always going to be there. There are some strategies that may be possible for an entrant to come in and take away or at least share in the provision of the network to the users. All right, that's chapter 13. I'll see you in class.